with the commercial value, and I've heard of a lot of people talk about this sort of thing in the past, you look at two good examples of that is the tattoo market and also the dream analysis market, both of which have quite a lot of searches. Dream analysis even more so. There's quite a lot of searches there, yet commercial value on that particular keyword. Most people are looking for free dream analysis and they're not really going to buy anything. And you might, do your research and, like Eugene just said, tick off traffic and tick off low competition and go, okay, here's a keyword I can go after. But then when you actually try and come to the market to try and monetize that, you're not really going to have anything. And I think a lot of people get scared away from markets that have competition, and if anything, Jeff Johnson talks about this, where you kind of want to go after markets with competition because it shows there's money there. All you have to do is it just that little bit better. One thing you did mention that I was interested to find out more on your thoughts, because I know you guys do a lot of testing over there at Market Samurai with the traffic component, and you talked about, of late, or, relatively recently, Google started providing some sort of insight into how much traffic a particular keyword's getting. Through some of the testing that I've done, like I'm seeing massive discrepancies, to the tune of having a number one position ranking for a keyword and seeing, getting not even 1/10 or even much less than that click-throughs on that particular keyword. What are your thoughts on sort of the way to use that, and do you take it with a grain of salt? And
I think ultimately, that's the thing of testing. You do take it with a grain of salt, and you do look for, multiple sources. It's just like, you're from share trading and that, you don't just buy something based on one signal. You look for multiple signals to be saying the right thing before you take action on something.
Hang on, I didn't know you were into the stock market. Are you a dabbler?
Yeah, I did the day trader HQ training and did day trading myself.
You are kidding me. That's where I got started, in Day Trader HQ, and then I went on to be a trainer for Home Trader.
No way.
Small world, very small world.
But it's it's so you do take it with a grain of salt, and that's why I said, you can do. Most people, they get so tied up with analysis paralysis, and particularly for the product that we provide spreadsheets of data, that people can just get so obsessed about, and it's good that it does provide some discipline and some rigor to what can be a very risky business if you're not knowing what you're doing. But ultimately, like I said, I like to do an AdWords campaign first and actually confirm the data. I know that the AdWords data should be, a percentage of obviously what the full number of searches are, and AdWords will tell you the number of impressions that your ad got as well. So, if you're looking for confirmation, you could spend, just a little bit of money to get that bit of insurance that the traffic is behind a particular keyword. And certainly, if I had money and behind me, I'd certainly do the AdWords. I'd throw it to a site and actually test the commercial value and the conversion and the opt-ins of that traffic before I was to invest heavily in going into a market.
Very cool. So one of the first stages, both pay-per-click and SEO, is obviously to do some keyword research. Then sort of maybe if we sort of head a little bit down the SEO track, because obviously you can take those keywords and load them into your pay-per-click and then start to do your monitoring of, conversion and all that sort of thing and tweak. From an SEO point of view, once you take those keywords, how do you incorporate that into a site that you're going to promote? I don't know, maybe we should start off and talk about, are we talking about a sales letter type site or an e-commerce site, but how would you go about promoting a website once you've done your research, and I don't know, how many keywords do you pick out? Where do you start?
Okay. Well, let's just, I try to pick a small subset of keywords that are tightly semantically grouped with each other that meet certain traffic, competition, and commerciality filters that I put up on them. So, I basically say, hey, I'm looking for keywords that have, a decent amount of traffic so that, it's going to be worth my time, a decent amount of commercial value is what I'm really looking at, and obviously it's below my competition threshold based on what my SEO asset base is in terms of other sites and my ability to get links. And so I like to think of, this cluster of keywords as essentially becoming categories, like if it's a blog, on my site. So I typically have somewhere between, 6 to 12 different major keywords or something behind my site, but I make sure there's definitely some, a semantic clustering of those keywords, so they're related to each other. And I mean, that is really the, one of the cool things behind the Google keyword tool is that it's actually giving you semantically relevant keywords, and there's and that's really, really important.
What are your thoughts then, I suppose, with that whole semantic thing as well? It kind of leads into the whole LSI, and, is that something that you pay attention to, or?
Well, okay, not to argue about this for an hour. I mean, LSI is a specific mathematical algorithm, which absolutely Google does not use LSI. But that's very different from the perspective of saying, well, does Google consider semantic relevance of content and semantic relevance of links? And absolutely it does. If you've got a website, it's about a whole lot of unrelated topics and have unrelated content, it's not to say you can't rank well, but you're going to rank less well than someone who has a very tightly themed site. So the LSI argument out there is really about, they've sort of missed the point.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, do I use this algorithm, that algorithm? The reality is that they do use an algorithm, and I've seen videos of Google, showing, semantic scoring algorithms that they're using. So they definitely are using, semantic algorithms in the background. It just might not be the LSI algorithm, but it boils down to quality. Google wants to serve up the best quality content for any keyword, and if it finds a nice, tightly themed site which is all about a particular keyword, then it makes sense that that thing should rank more highly than something else potentially.
And once you've got those sort of 6 to 12 very tightly semantically clustered keywords, and you load them in as your categories, beyond that, you sort of, if you're making posts in there, are you going for even longer tail keywords, or?
I mean, the first thing I'm trying to do is, again, if my purpose is to test the market, is just to validate that there is traffic in that market. And the key thing about testing is to risk the minimum amount, to get a quick result back. So you don't want to overinvest in a website when you're starting out. You're telling you, well, now you've decided and you've tested the market you're already in, or you've done some AdWords testing, that business model there, then you can go hard at it. But from a testing perspective, you should just be looking to put a single post for each of those category keywords, and then do some basic, and I'll go into link building in a sec, but then basically do some link building, and then just wait and then measure what happens. There's an action, you look at the reaction, and if you're not seeing positive things, then you have to start asking the questions why. But at least you haven't over-invested into a market from an SEO perspective anyway.
Yeah. With sort of optimizing, on-page optimization for those keywords, if you're creating posts under there, like, apart from the basics that, most of my clients know, everything from keyword just in the right places, your title tag, your meta description keywords, and then a little bit throughout the page, even an H1 tag and a couple of links don't go astray as well. Is there anything much more that happens from an on-page point of view?
Not really. Only just looking really at your internal linking structure and things like, obviously, if you're using a blog to rank, things like tagging and those kind of things are really important, and potentially looking at silo site structures to get the best bang for buck and on those sort of things. But really, there's not that much to the on-site optimization. It's more, I think, it's the internal link structure, I think, which probably stuffs most people up.